Hello, and welcome to People Keep Dying, the podcast where we talk about how people die. I'm your host, Stephanie.
And I'm Angela.
And hopefully I did that intro right. But who cares if I didn't?
It sounded right to me.
It sounded right.
Yeah.
So welcome back to our podcast where we tell each other death stories. Stories of someone dies in every one of our story.
But someone dies every day.
Yeah. Well, lots of people die every day. Isn't it like once every 3 seconds or some shit?
Yeah, I think so.
Isn't it like a baby's born every second, but then a person dies every 3 seconds?
And that's the reason why it's like a problem, because
Yeah.
people aren't dying fast enough for how many people are being born.
Yeah, well, it used to be. Apparently, we've now hit like where now more people are dying than being born because
isn't that good
our
for
generation?
right now?
Yeah, it is. No, it is really good.
I'm not saying having babies is bad. I'm just saying that there is, an overpopulation problem in some areas.
Yeah, but we've also never really been faced with a situation where we're not growing, where we're declining. And not because of like some
I feel like it's a social
plague, you know what I mean?
consciousness too, of like I can't possibly give birth.
Well, that's
knowing,
why.
Yeah.
Social consciousness. It's also like more women are becoming infertile.
Yes.
And
Having babies later in life. Having less children because we don't need them on the farms anymore.
Yeah, because we don't need to make our own baseball teams.
Yes. We don't need our babies to work as soon as they're ready to walk. Just send them off to work. We don't need them anymore.
We don't.
Now
need the
we're
free
nurturer.
labor. Now we're like.
Now they say with us until they're 25.
25, 35 now. Jeez. In some cases.
I mean, in Korean culture, you don't leave the house until you get married. You'll hear, like, I watch a lot of like Korean variety shows, and a lot of like really big pop stars or movie stars still live with their parents.
Why not?
Because like they're like,
if you're not a burden,
my mom makes me food, and
exactly,
I come home and food's ready. I'm not married, so
why not?
Like, wow, I didn't realize you're.
If I liked my family and could live with them, I probably would just to not have to pay bills. But I own my own home now, and I get to be the adult. So fuck yes.
We did. Then everything went to shit.
Yeah, but still. All right. Nobody gives a shit. Cut all of this, Stephanie. Nobody gives a crap about any of that.
You don't. So we're going right into the murders because you don't care about our lives.
No, that's not.
We stay at home a lot.
Because I have nothing to share.
I don't do a lot of things. I actively try to stay indoors as long as possible. There's a gym in the apartment building. I don't need to leave anymore.
No, and I've been suffering from my concussion.
And you celebrated your birthday.
Yes, I did celebrate my birthday recently. It was really great. Angela threw me a birthday party and baked me a cake. It was an owl cake, and it was fantastic. The icing was so good.
Provided by a grocery store.
Yeah, provided by Angela, made with Angela's love in a grocery store.
Yes.
But yeah, that's really it. My birthday was awesome. I'm old now, but
not older than me.
Not older than you. Thank God.
We're the same age right now. Just so you just remind
just for the next couple of months.
Just for like 2 months.
All right, so this week I have a little bit of a longer story. So people that prefer my voice over your voice, which is nobody. People that prefer my voice.
I looked at the analytics. That's not true.
People that like me sit down and enjoy because we're about to get into it. So my story is on Peter Dupas. Dupas.
I was just reading the story.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't read more into it because it was so
days
long.
We're gonna do.
It was so long that I was like, I don't want to do
it. It is so long. It is. It was so crazy.
That was the reason. Go on.
Okay, so Peter was born in Sydney, New South Wales, Australia. But his family moved to Melbourne when he was a toddler, and that's where he was raised, and that's where the rest of the story takes place pretty much. So There we are. So Peter was a later in life child, kind of like how it is like with my family.
Yeah.
So like his parents had like two children really close, and then many, many, many years later, whoops, there's a third baby.
I guess I was the same way too, because I have a 12-year difference.
Fuck yeah, multi-year differences. My grandparents did the same thing with my uncle. Like, my dad and his older brother are really close, and then like 13 years later, there's a little baby. Yeah. It was 17 years between my brother and I. My brother and I are less than a year apart, and then it's 17 years until my sister. Like it's
I'm 8 and 12. So
So anyways, despite growing up with siblings, his elderly parents mostly raised him as an only child, obviously. And he was rather spoiled, mostly by his mom. He had, for the most part, a pretty normal family upbringing. Although Peter would later tell a psychologist that he found his mom to be overprotective, and his father was a perfectionist that made him feel inadequate, which is about as normal sounding as it could possibly get.
Yeah.
Like, if you're, and it's like, if that's all you're going to complain about, like, oh, my mom was a little overprotective and, you know, my dad made me feel a little inadequate.
People kill for
like,
less nowadays.
Yeah. Well, they sure do. So October 3rd, 1968, and little normal Peter goes and visits his next door neighbor, and he asks her to borrow a knife so that he could peel some potatoes. Mm-hmm. And the lady was like, yeah, sure, come on in, because he's just this cute little blonde neighbor boy. And she hands him the knife, and then all of a sudden, he just starts stabbing this woman. Slashing at her face, her neck, her hands, and as she tried to fight him off, she was eventually able to get away and call the police, and he was apprehended really quickly. When arrested, he said that he didn't know why he attacked this lady. He just couldn't help himself, which, red flag.
It was Satan.
Red flag. Yeah, the demon came and possessed him.
That's the defense.
Yeah, it was Satan. It's so disturbing when people say, like, I don't know what happened. It just happened.
It's always Satan. That's what you say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works.
I mean, it's what they used to say, and then they started burning them at the stake, and then people caught them pretty quickly. Then maybe they should stop saying
Satan.
Yeah.
But now
this is how you're going to handle it?
Yeah.
Where was I? Either way, he gets 18 months of probation because he was only 15 and a minor, and he gets admitted into the Laurendale Psychiatric Hospital for an evaluation. And before you start thinking, oh man, this dude's going to get locked up forever because he's so fucking scary and crazy. No
way.
That's because our story is not going to end here. There's so much more information to get through.
He didn't die.
He gets released 2 weeks later. 2 weeks.
That does sound about right, though.
2 weeks, and then is treated as an outpatient.
Was it good behavior?
No, it was just like, they were like, the conclusion was that he was caught in an emotional conflict between the need to conform to the expectations of his parents and the unconscious urges to express his aggression and his developing masculinity.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, he was just having an emotional outburst because he hit puberty, so he stabbed this woman.
Sure. When I hit puberty, I stabbed a couple people too.
Listen,
I get it.
When a boy stabs a woman because he's getting into puberty, that's not the time to be like, oh no, you're totally capable of being in society. That's when you lock them up. But it's the 80s.
Or at least give them
boys will be boys.
More help.
Yeah.
More mental health.
But it's, again,
there's
it's
obviously some problems.
Or no, it's not the 80s. It's the 60s.
60s. So that makes even more sense.
Yeah. So 70s.
They had more things to worry about.
Yeah. So the following year, in early October, a mortuary was broken into, and the bodies of 2 elderly women were mutilated with a pathologist's knife. At the time, police believed that it was Peter, and that he was involved or responsible somehow, but there wasn't enough evidence or anything to arrest him, and they couldn't really do anything.
Yeah.
But like, shit's like, he gets a little weird in October, November. I don't know what goes on in that time, but he gets a little weird. Because they can't just arrest him for developing his masculinity, which apparently involves mutilating women. But I guess props for him for
He's
choosing an
taking control
already
of
dead
his power.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least it was a dead person.
yeah.
Like,
I think that he was
yeah.
like playing out like some weird, like he needed to finish
Fantasies?
it.
Yeah.
Like he had been fantasizing about it all fucking year. And now it was like, well, no, now I have to like finish stabbing these women. And like, because apparently like the stab wounds were on one of them was very similar to the old lady. And then on the second body, spoiler, those ended up being similar to a later attack, which I thought was also really weird. So on March 10th, 1972, so I think 3-4 years later, Peter gets caught peeping through a bathroom window at a young naked woman, and the husband had caught him and chased him down the street and had him arrested, and he was let go. The following year, Peter was brought into the station for questioning after someone reported that Peter was repeatedly driving along his car and smiling at the 12-year-old daughter in the back seat, which, what a fucking creep.
Ew.
Yeah. In November the following year, Peter broke into a house where he then attacked a woman inside with a knife. Before tying her up with a cord and raping her, he also threatened to harm her 18-month-old baby when she started to she started resisting to make her more compliant.
Ew.
Yeah. The following night, he breaks into 2 other homes, but those times he didn't attack the women. He stole money from the first house and then ran off when at the second house when the wife said that her husband was going to be home soon. He was always like, well, I'm out of here.
That should always be your answer from now
That should
on.
always be your answer.
Yeah. If not married, just say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A few weeks later, the police were finally able to capture and arrest Peter for the rape and the home invasions, and he was sentenced to 9 years with a minimum of 5 years. And that's exactly what he did, was the minimum, because
I don't understand how you get so little time for all of the awful things he did.
yeah, and there's clearly a pattern. He clearly has a pattern. So he gets out on parole, and this dude clearly had some anger issues and some problems with women. And the police officers and the judge in the previous case even said that like he was evil personified. And so anyways, he gets out in 5 years, and not even 2 months later, he goes and attacks and molests 4 women in separate attacks over the span of 10 days. Like, just like goes nuts. So he gets another 5 years in prison for 3 charges of assault with the intent to rape and malicious wounding, with the intent to rob and indecent assault. And the courts were basically like, yeah, your release on parole was a mistake.
Yes.
Like, we shouldn't have let you out. And it's like, yeah, like, fuck
no
you.
fucking shit.
A mistake. So 5 years later, it's 1985, and Peter gets released from prison. And not even a month later, Angela, not even a month, Peter heads out for a night of terror at the beach.
Yeah.
This creep sat in his car with the lights off, and then when a woman finally walked by, he got out of his car, followed her for a while before attacking her, holding her down on the ground at knife point, and raped her. Later, when he got caught by the police, he told the police that he was sorry for what happened. Yeah, right.
No, he wasn't.
And that everyone was telling me that I'm okay now. I never thought that it was going to happen again. I only wanted to live a normal life. And it's like, no, that woman only wanted to live a normal life. If you wanted to live a normal life, you wouldn't have gone to the beach that day.
You wouldn't have sat in your car and waited for someone to walk by to be like, yep, that's good.
That's the one I'm going to kill. Like, she wanted to go to the beach and, like, maybe smell some sea foam, not, like, get raped and have to live with that trauma for the rest of her life. Like,
thanks, asshole.
Screw you. So this time, he's sentenced to 12 years in jail. But, like, the fucking court system is just a piece of trash. He gets released after 7 years.
No.
And it's just like, they're not getting it. Like, he's clearly, he can't even stay out of prison for like more than 2 months without attacking another woman.
It's probably, you can't save him.
No, he's beyond saving. So they let him out after the 7 years.
Oh. Now he's going to make sure that he doesn't just doesn't get caught.
Yeah.
You just murder everyone. You don't get caught.
Yeah. For good behavior. And it's like, this guy is a fucking
Because there's no women in the
magnificent
prison, so that's the
liar.
reason why he has good behavior. I'm glad that like
Yeah.
he just that's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in 1994, Peter is out and about, and he's wearing a large, oversized dark hoodie and armed with a knife and some insulation tape and handcuffs. And Peter begins to follow a woman who is picnicking at the park with her friends. And as she goes into the public toilet area, he follows her in and attempts to hold her at knife point, but her friends end up coming in and end up chasing him off.
Good.
And as he's leaving and probably freaking out because it didn't go his way, and he just got out of prison and all this different shit, he crashes his car and then gets arrested again. And then he's charged with false imprisonment and is sentenced to 3 years and 9 months.
Just fucking.
And then 2 years later, he gets released from prison
For good behavior.
again.
Yeah.
And it's just like, stop fucking apologizing. Like, don't apologize and say it was a mistake to let him out on parole if you're just going to keep letting this trash out on parole. But while he was in jail, he got married to a nurse.
Oh my God.
Named Grace McConnell.
What was wrong with her?
Well, she believed that she could like save him.
Okay. Okay.
She like helped him understand all of his problems and why he was the way that he was. And now with his new wife, he believes that all of his sexual attacks are behind him and he's better now. And it's just like, why? Because now you're married or you got a girlfriend. So now you can just ask for pussy instead of having to like rape
He could
and
have
take
always
it.
done that.
Well, yeah, he could have. He wasn't a bad looking guy, but it's just like this woman didn't know. If like, and this guy spent so many years in prison,
More
like,
time in prison than he's been alive.
yeah,
at this point.
Yes. Well, not more time in prison than he's been alive, because then you would more time in prison than not.
He's not in prison.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
So, yeah, they also tried giving him a series of different drugs to reduce his sexual desires, such as Depo-Provera, which is a birth control for women, if people didn't know that. I used to be on it in my teens. I didn't care for it. It's like a shot you get, and then like sometimes after a couple, you get it like once every 3 or 4 months. And then,
I had a friend who was on it. I never got on any of the birth control pill stuff.
Yeah.
Like my hormones are already crazy. I don't need it. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Well, they give it to guys so that they'll stop raping women.
Oh, I don't think it works.
So then it's just like, well, no, it does.
Does it work?
No, it has.
Really?
Yeah, no,
I've never heard of
that. They give it to men so that their sexual desires will go down.
That's crazy.
And it's just like, and then you give them to women so they don't have, it's.
Can you give it to pedophiles? Like,
Yeah, no,
you?
yeah.
Is that what you do now?
Sometimes it's like a chemical castration.
Oh.
Depo-Provera. It's like it's not as an intense one. It's sort of like a more lighter one, but
No,
it's
that's what they gave
castration.
like Jared from Subway.
I have no idea. They probably something like it.
I feel like they would have to. I wonder if you can ask for it, because every once in a while you run into those people.
You're allowed to. You're allowed to ask. You're allowed. Yeah, you like without even being convicted, you could just go to your doctor and
just be
say,
like, I have a
"Listen,
feeling.
I am sort of attracted to kids,
And I would really prefer just cut it.
And a lot, some guys do that.
That's great for them.
No, by all
Great.
means.
Yeah.
I actually read a really interesting article, but the reason why he had gone in and done it was because he was molested when he was a child. So he picked up, he picked up on it. And I was like, I bet you if you weren't molested, you probably wouldn't have ever been attracted to children.
Yeah.
Like but either way. Okay. So on October 19th, the body of 28-year-old Nicole Amanda Patterson is found in her home by a friend who had come over earlier that night, or had come over for a dinner party. And when the friend had walked into the house, there was music playing, but the door was unlocked. And so she had sort of just let herself in, as like I do that. So with my friends. And when she walked into the house, she found Nicole naked from the waist down, riddled in stab wounds, with both of her breasts had been removed.
Yep, I remember this.
Nicole was a psychotherapist and a youth counselor and was working with young kids to get them off the streets and off drugs. Mm-hmm. And she was so beautiful. And she had so much like going for her. Mm-hmm. And it's just like,
I want everyone to say this if I ever get murdered.
She was so beautiful.
Lie.
And she was so wonderful.
I'm not saying that Nicole wasn't all these things. I'm just saying if I get murdered, I want you to say these things about me. Just lie.
Yeah. Just lie. Last time she was like, don't lie. But this week she's like, lie.
Just lie. Just fucking
I've changed my mind. I want people to say nice things about me.
I'm a saint.
Yeah. So when the police searched the scene, they found her skirt nearby in the bedroom. Little pieces of yellow tape on her skin, and her purse was stolen. In her day planner, it had stated that she had an appointment that morning at 9 o'clock with a new client named Malcolm. And there was a phone number attached. Neighbors said that they heard screams coming from the house between 9 and 9:30 that morning. And her boyfriend apparently had tried contacting her out throughout the day with no luck because they were supposed to get together around lunchtime and didn't. So the police called the number that's for Malcolm, and it's traced back to an Indian student named Harry. But then after they bring Harry in and question him, they're like, have you given your number out to anybody recently or anything suspicious? And Harry's like, well, I mean, not really, but there's this man that approached me recently to offer me some work. His name was Peter Dupas, and the police are like, hold on. And then they go over and pull up Peter's file.
And it's like, this is it.
And his extensive rap sheet of like raping and stabbing and, you know, all this different stuff. And they're like, this kid is our guy. And like track him down and they arrest him. And when they when they get him and they arrest him, he's got scratches on his face and his hands. And he claims that he had been working in the backyard on a shed and he had just cut himself on the wood. And
it just looks like finger scratches. It's crazy.
And the police were like, yeah, right. And the telephone records showed that the telephone records had showed that Peter had been in contact with Nicole several times over the previous 6 weeks, trying to arrange counseling for his depression and gambling addiction. But then he told police that he had canceled his appointment with Nicole that morning because apparently she told him that his problems were something that he needed to work through on his own, which highly fucking unlikely. That's not how psychotherapists work.
No.
That is literally the complete opposite of what a psychotherapist does. Like, it's not you don't just go and no. I've done so much therapy.
There's no way that this is what she said to him.
Yeah. So
hopefully, I'm hoping that this ends with, and he goes to jail
forever. Well, let's hope. So the police searched his home, and when they do that, they find blood-stained clothing, yellow tape similar to the one they found on Nicole's body, a ski mask, newspaper clippings of the ad Nicole put into the newspaper looking for new clients, and the newspaper clippings of Nicole's murder. On August 22nd, 2000, Peter is found guilty of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment, this time without the possibility of parole, and everyone cheered.
Just kidding. No.
While in prison, they were able to get Peter's DNA, which, I mean, I actually thought, like, why wouldn't they have had that before? But maybe they just, like, didn't take people's DNA. But I mean, like, this dude was raping for years prior to, but maybe they just started the DNA thing. I don't know. But when they take him in through the prison, they grab his DNA, they run that shit through their system, and ding, 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 ding.
This isn't his first time.
They get a hit.
Yep.
So back in October of 1997, 2 years before Nicole's murder, but 1 year after he gets released from prison.
Because it wasn't his first time.
Yeah. The body of 40-year-old Margaret Josephine Mayer was found in a cardboard box containing miscellaneous computer parts. A post-mortem examination showed that she had a stab wound on her wrist, bruising along her neck, blunt force trauma caused from a cinder block above her head, above her right eyebrow, and lacerations on her arm. Her left breast had also been removed and put into her mouth. And all they found on the crime scene was a black woolen glove, which they later ran for DNA, and he was found guilty.
I wonder what it is about the breasts.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about his breasts either. And, like, why put it in her mouth? That's degrading.
But at the same time, that's the point. It's like if a woman decides to chop off some guy's penis and put it in his mouth, it'd be very degrading and very awful. Yeah. But yeah, I can see like, it's like I feel like it's a similar situation.
So they arrest and charge Peter with the murder of Margaret, and then the jury, when the jury read aloud that they had found him guilty, he protested by saying that this is a kangaroo court and had to be taken away, like by the police because he was just so unruly. He was given a second life sentence without the possibility of parole. But that's not all, folks, because on November 1st, 1997, a month after Nicole's body was found, the body of another young woman was found, this time of 25-year-old Marcina Halvegas.
Just say it with a lot of confidence, like you know what you're saying.
Halvegas.
Yeah.
And she was visiting her grandmother's grave and was reported missing when she didn't show up to her fiance's later that evening. Her body was then discovered the following morning by the fiance in an empty plot 3 graves down from where Marcina's grandmother had been buried. And it's like, that fucking sucks. Can you imagine like going and trying to find like Nick, and then all of a sudden you just find him in an open grave?
And then I would just fall into an open grave and die, and then we would be together.
Yeah, you would. You would.
I would. It's not even like a joke.
Yeah,
like that's how I would just die. So that'd be it.
So police believe that Marcina was on her knees laying flowers at the grave when someone attacked her from behind and then stabbed her 87 times in her knees, neck, and breasts.
Oh my gosh.
Unfortunately, her murder had remained unsolved, but the police were basically sure it was Peter, and here's some evidence against him. So firstly, Peter lives really close to the cemetery that this happened at, and at least 8 different witnesses say that they saw Peter walking through the cemetery that day. He apparently frequented the First and Last Hotel, which was across the street from the cemetery. He lied about the scratches on his face.
Yeah.
He attempted to alter his appearance after the attack, and he also sold his car, which cops were never able to examine because it got crushed for scrap metal. So he was getting rid of evidence and changing up all of his shit. It wasn't until... it was all circumstantial up until 2006 when a fellow inmate of Peter's tells police that Peter confessed to killing Marcina while they were gardening. And then, so on September 26, 2006, police arrest Peter for the murder of Marcina Halvegas, and he gets convicted 22 days later with another life in prison without parole, because at this point they're just like, we're just gonna fucking keep you in jail. We should have never let you out any of the previous times.
But you never killed anyone.
You didn't kill anyone,
so we couldn't keep you in there forever.
I mean, even when they do kill people, they don't keep them in there forever. So it's just like, whatever.
But in the manner that he killed them, if he would have stayed in prison forever. Yeah. So that's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for him to kill. I'm glad that that's how the legal system now is. You have to make sure that they kill someone and ruin, like just take away their entire lives, and then we'll put you in prison forever.
Yeah.
But if you don't kill anyone, but we think that you're probably going to, we can't go through that.
Yeah.
Because
we can't do anything until you do it.
Because some people are very like some cops are going to see like anyone or their racial biases or personal biases. Yeah. So that happens too.
Yeah. So Fuckface Peter tries to appeal the conviction on the basis of the guilty verdict was unsafe and unsatisfactory. And the Victoria Court of Appeals granted the appeal, stating that the judge's directions in the original trial were inadequate. So I didn't really know, but the judge fucked up, and so he got to appeal.
I'm kind of mad that like the cops worked so hard on this case. They did such a great job, and then the judicial system fucked over everyone. Like, so the cops have to like sit around, do their job really well, and it's like,
and then they have to go do it all over again
and continue to do it and continue to deal with this guy, and it's like, thanks.
Yeah, so they go to court again, and then again on November 19th, after wasting everyone's time and money, Peter is once again convicted of Marcina's murder and is sentenced to life imprisonment with, again, no possibility of parole.
Good.
However, the story is not over yet. So on February 13th, 1985, the mother of 4, Helen McMahon, was beaten to death while sunbaking at Rye Back Beach. Peter was still serving one of his sentences at the time, but inquiries later revealed that he was on temporary leave from prison that day, and so he remains a suspect
How
in
did he
her
get
murder.
temporary
I have
leave?
no idea.
Like, who just goes, yeah, you're in
Furlough.
prison, but you just go get McDonald's for like an hour. It's all good.
I don't know. And the body of 95-year-old Kathleen Downs was found stabbed to death at her nursing home. Police investigations revealed that Peter had called the nursing home before the murder took place, and Peter was officially charged with her murder on February 2018. However, there hasn't really been a status update on that, so I
But
can't
he's
tell
in
you.
jail.
Yeah, but at the time that this happened, he wasn't in jail.
No. I mean,
Yeah.
like, he's in jail
Yeah, so
now.
now it's just like
So now it's just like closure for all the
Yeah.
rest of the families, but
Yeah.
also to make sure, don't fucking let him out,
Yeah,
guys.
no.
He's a bad guy.
This guy, like, for me, this is a case where bring back the fucking death penalty. He's not stopping. He didn't stop from the raping, and then he escalated to fucking murder, probably because he thought he was going to get away with that a little bit better than just a rape without
he
hitting victims.
did.
But no, because it was only like a couple of weeks.
Oh, but I mean, like
or a couple of
the
days.
first one, he was able to get away with the first one, right? Like,
No, the first. Well, I mean, it depends on if. Yes,
Yeah.
he did get away with the first one.
because of furlough, and then
Because they didn't
catch him.
because they didn't have his DNA
Yeah.
from the glove. All they had was the glove. So, yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
He's also currently a suspect in the murder of 31-year-old Renita Brunton, who was found dead in the back room of her store with 106 stab wounds, and that was in 1993.
I feel like at that point, it's like, this is a
Basically,
connection.
if you have more than like 40 stab wounds, they think
It was
this guy
probably
did it.
him, yeah. And I don't think a lot of people have the same affinity for murder in the same
No.
way that he does.
No.
But thank you for the story. I only read like a
Thanks.
little bit about it, and then
Yeah.
I was like, this is really long.
Yeah, no, it really was. Like when I was going through it, I was like, holy shit, like there's still so much.
many.
But I was really intrigued by like it said that he was known for like attacking breasts.
Yeah, that was
but
what
really
got
it
me-
was just
yeah.
2 girls that
Yeah.
he did
Slice the
Yeah.
boob. But he did stab the breasts a lot for
and another
a lot of
girl.
his victims.
There's another murder where someone had like a breast thing.
Yeah.
I think I thought that it was that one with this
Yeah.
one. But no.
But you found this
crazy
one, and it
fucking
was
crazy.
it was a crazy murder.
Story. I think he did all of it and then some. And there's probably a lot
There's
more.
probably more
people-
bodies out there.
If it has a stab wound, I bet you it's Peter.
More than 10.
Peter stabber eater.
Well, thank you for your story.
You're welcome.
Mine's super short to I guess like balance out your longer
Yeah.
story.
My story actually really wasn't that long. I must have just said it really quickly.
Also, like it was a lot of information, but it was
Yeah.
just like very connected. Mine is super short and very recent.
Is it recent?
2012.
Okay.
That's pretty. 7 years is pretty recent.
Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
within. We're still in the same decade.
I always think about it like because I've been married to Nick for almost 10 years. So
Yeah.
it's like whenever I'm like, was it before or after Nick? And this was also like local for me because this was in LA.
Oh, what man? Where's the Korea stories?
I don't have one, surprisingly, because I did a couple of them, but there's so many unsolved cases and I hate them. And
See,
then,
I love unsolved cases.
and then some of them don't have a lot of information because if you're looking at different countries, it's
Yeah.
so hard.
Not
It needs
everything-
to be a big murder for them to be covering that shit.
Yeah, it's because unless it's in Florida, not every newspaper is going to write about it.
Yeah, because Florida has that rule where you have to disclose it. So
Not
end up
that
with
you have to, just that you can.
Yeah.
That newspapers can have access. It's all public record.
Yeah,
which
so-
I actually think is
It makes,
smart.
but it makes Florida look crazy. It does.
I wonder
I'm
if
like,
there's a
I'm pretty sure
podcast
all
of
the other
just-
states, just Florida.
of just like Florida
Gator
crimes.
eatings. Oh my
Isn't that crazy?
gosh. So I'm just going right to the murder because
Okay.
since it's not a lot of backstory.
That's fine. Give it to me.
So on April 11th, 2012, electrical engineering students Ming Q and Ying Wu. So it's Ming and Ying.
Okay,
And
Ming and Ying.
Okay. Yeah. And Ming is a boy and Ying is a girl.
Okay.
It's just, I'm going to put
So
it out
the
there.
X and the Y.
Yeah.
No, it's a W and a Y, but yeah.
So we're hanging out a mile away from the USC campus.
Okay.
Which you may have heard of from the whole college scandal. 'cause
Oh yeah, I was just talking about that.
it is a very prestigious school, just in
that's funny.
case. So at around 1 a.m., while sitting in their 2003 BMW,
Ooh, rich kids.
2003 and 2012, that's not rich
never mind,
kids.
sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still BMWs are still nice cars.
They noticed two men with guns approaching their car. And when you said
shit.
rich kids, it's actually going to fall through in the later part of my story.
Oh, they're not rich?
No, but it's going to be how they are portrayed in the media because media's fucked up.
Fuck off, media.
So-
Why are you ruining everything?
One witness, Hovani Ordonez, I think he lived right in the apartments where this was happening, told the court that he was playing video games when he first heard what sounded like firecrackers. And I hear this a lot. I hear like a lot of cars like backfiring when I'm at my dad's house.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% sure if they're gunshots. We do see a lot of helicopters and people running, but
You never know.
you never know. So he looked out the window and saw a silver BMW double parked in the middle of the road with hazard lights on. He then saw the driver door open and Ming attempting to exit out of the car. By the time Hovani made it outside, Ming had made his way to a nearby home and was lying underneath the porch, struggling to breathe as blood filled his mouth.
Oh no, is he shot?
Hovan-
where's Ying?
Hovani called 911 and asked Ming if there had been anyone else in the car. Ming was unable to speak, responding with a nod and a low murmur. Hovani walked towards the car where he found Ying curled in fetal position with her knees pressed up to her chest, arms wrapped around her, and her head bowed down, like, you go earthquake mode. And Ying didn't respond when Hovani yelled at her through the driver's side door.
Oh no.
Because she had a shot in her chest.
Oh no.
It was raining heavily that day, which is very abnormal for LA.
Yeah.
But when it rains, it fucking rains.
Yeah.
So the conditions for the crime scene was really difficult. And it was noted by an LAPD officer that the window on the driver's side of the car was shattered with bullets found near the passenger side, meaning that the shooter came only from the driver's side. There was no bullet wounds found at the exterior of the passenger side door. Ming and Ying were both taken to California Hospital Medical Center, where they were both pronounced dead on arrival.
Oh my gosh.
They were both international students studying abroad at USC in their prestigious electrical engineering program.
Yeah.
And the police traced the phone call taken by the perpetrators because it sounds like they stole their phones. And they were able to, on May 18, 2012, they arrested Brian Barnes, 20 years old, and Javier Bolden, 19 years old. So these were kids, and they were fucked up kids.
Yeah.
Or still are fucked up kids because not that long ago.
The fact that they stole the phones is like a little like
Dumb.
Well, no, because that means that they would have reached into the car.
Yeah.
That's
Because I mean, like,
crazy.
you hear the fireworks,
I have so many
right?
questions, like, why? Like,
It was just robbery. There was nothing else. There was no
Really?
connections
Oh
between
my
these two. And then
gosh.
it turns out these two are giant dickheads because this isn't the first time they just shot at people.
oh fuck, oh my gosh.
They were
Okay.
both charged with 2 counts
Now
of
I'm
murder.
I mean, I was already angry beforehand, but I thought maybe there's like a drug thing, like maybe they were picking
Yeah,
up
like Ming and
drugs
Ying were there to pick up drugs instead of
thought,
just in the neighborhood because they were just driving
I
around.
really wanted there's not to say that Ming and Ying deserved any of it, but it was just like I really wanted it to not be the wrong place at the wrong time.
Because those are the scariest stories because you're always like, that could be me.
Yes.
It's only 1 a.m. It's actually not that late.
No.
You could just be in the wrong neighborhood and someone
I'm just
shoots at
sitting
you.
in my car
and
someone comes up and shoots through my driver's windshield and then steals my car
or steals just a
or not
cell
my car
phones.
but the
Yeah.
cell phone. Like, oh my gosh, can you imagine like poor Yang and like oh my
Poor
gosh,
Ming.
okay.
Yeah.
Poor
So
Ming, poor Ying. Oh
they're
my God.
both
Poor Ming Ying
charged-
family.
They were both charged with 2 counts of murder. And it was at this time that they were also charged for attempted murder on December 2011 because I think they traced like the bullets
Yeah.
at a party in South Los Angeles. And in this December shooting, it left a woman seriously wounded and a man paralyzed. So this wasn't the first time they had used their guns. But that also wasn't the only time, because Brian was also suspected of firing multiple shots at a party on February 12th where he wounded a 20-year-old man. They just liked shooting things. Like, Jesus.
Oh my God, Brian.
Just the worst. I'm like, why, guys? Why? But it's a really rough neighborhood. USC is not in a good neighborhood, unfortunately.
I mean,
and that's just the lifestyle.
America.
Yeah, but that's just the lifestyle in like those rougher areas.
I know, and it's so no, it's wrong.
At least they both go to prison for life.
Good.
So on February 25th, 2014,
there's some good news.
Brian pled guilty to 2 counts of murder and was immediately sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole.
Oh, did they?
They must have just gotten him, and he's like, just whatever.
Okay, so he was like,
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm going to be
It's
here
me.
forever. Yeah. October 2014, because Javier didn't plead guilty, he was also convicted and sentenced to life without parole.
Oh, so he was like, it wasn't me. That's interesting.
Probably, because like the time difference was so long, and it didn't say Javier pled guilty. It just said like he was, charged and sentenced. So due to the area surrounding the USC campus, the parents of the 2 students filed a lawsuit against the campus because the area around the campus is a low-income urban area with a historically high crime rate, which is very weird. Like, this university is in downtown LA, and it's right off the highway, and it's kind of like you wouldn't expect this prestigious-ass school to be in such kind of like a shiftier area, but it's just LA is just like that.
But like, can the school really be blamed for
No.
something that happens outside of school property?
That's why the lawsuit was dismissed, as Judge Michael Johnson found no connection between the killing and the university's self-reported efforts to protect students. USC's official statement was as follows. In a gesture of sympathy and kindness, the university had initially offered to compensate the parents for the cost of their children's education and other expenses. The parents declined USC's offer and instead chose to engage an attorney to sue the university. The courts did not find the university responsible. Our university community continues to mourn the loss of Ying Wu and Ming. The USC Viterbi School of Engineering created an on-campus memorial to 2 students, and we posthumously awarded their degrees. Because, like, it's not USC's fault, even though, like, because their parents were trying to say that they misrepresented how safe the school atmosphere was. And I'm like, but it wasn't on campus. It was a mile away. You can't control what happens in situations outside of the campus.
Send your kids to America. America's not safe.
Yeah, I think there are warnings now, and I've lived there my whole life, and I haven't been shot, but I definitely have seen lots of guns. So I'm not saying, but lots of people live in the States where they've never seen one. It really depends on what kind of neighborhood you're in, and and what you see as normal. Like,
and that's the big thing. It's like what you grow up as with normal isn't someone else's normal.
So the US and UK media seemed way more interested, though, on some of the online comments coming from China. Not all, not even most, just some of the trolling comments.
I could only imagine some of the trolling comments coming out of America.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
The UK Daily Mail ran a story basically saying Ying Wu, Ming murdered in BMW. Some in China blame USC grad students for showing off their wealth. I'm like, it was a 2003 we deal with international students in this city a lot. There's no way those rich international students are driving a 2003 BMW in 2012.
No.
First of all.
No, not in 2019. They most definitely are not.
Doesn't matter how rich you are. You're not to be blamed because you're rich to be murdered.
You don't get to say, oh my God, UK Daily Mail.
So they ran a story with the headline, they were showing off their wealth. Unsympathetic Chinese media says 2 USC students murdered in luxury BMW were killed because of their car. Doubling down, the Daily Mail claimed that Chinese news sites were not sympathetic to the murderers, but did not provide any examples to back up any assertions of this. This was just like they got a couple.
Why does China need to be like?
the UK have to say anything about like what's going on in China?
Why do they need to say? The murder happened in the U.S.
Yeah, but yeah, it was
So-
China. They were Chinese immigration.
Yeah, but it's just
international
like,
students.
but-
But why is the UK
why
saying
is-
anything about this? Like, why is our trash tabloid saying anything about all of this?
Mind your own shit.
So none of these comments were associated with any official news channels in China. Even China wasn't blaming them because
No.
they lost like 2 very bright students and people from their own country who are going to do like way better for their country and themselves and everything. Like, come on.
They weren't murdered for being in the BMW. Well, maybe they were murdered for being in the BMW.
Or maybe they're murdered
but, like,
because they were just in a
a
car.
10-year-old car
Yeah.
is not a luxury.
No.
In any sort. I mean, to some people that is a
It
luxury.
is, but
no.
in this instance of trying to blame it on money is ridiculous. Because I'm just like, when I read it, I was
my
just
gosh.
like, are you for reals?
I hate the media.
Yeah. The media coverage
There are
is
certain things
so
that we should say in
crazy.
every episode of our podcast, and that is the money is more important than human
People.
life.
Always.
And the media fucking sucks when it comes to handling anything.
Yeah. Every once in a while, you get like the Boston Globe, who does great research work.
Yeah,
and then
sometimes.
sometimes there's too many outlets that are trying to act like they are real news, and they're just regurgitating news that they read from actual news sites.
And they make up parts of the story. It's so frustrating.
So frustrating.
And you know what? It's probably because I do a lot more research now that I
Yeah.
get so much more frustrated with it,
Yes.
because like I don't like want to go and read 10 articles that basically say all of the same thing
Yeah.
except for one piece of detail. And then you're just like, well, who's fucking telling the truth about this one piece of
and
detail?
then one piece of detail, where did that even come from?
Yeah.
So that's why I watch a lot of videos from people, because then at least you can't really screw that one as much.
I don't know.
But in fact, friends state Ying and Ming lived a simple life during their nearly 2-year study at USC. In order to keep their living expenses down, they both shared rooms with other classmates. So that was my story. It was very short, but it was very sad. I remember
It breaks my heart
when it happened because I was still in school and I don't know if I think I got married. I don't even remember when I got married. No, we got married after.
know.
But anyways, like I always keep news of like in about like LA area stuff, and USC. I had a lot of friends who
Yeah.
either taught there or went to school there, and so it was just like, holy crap, what's going on?
Yeah, I wish that. Did they like say why they killed them?
No,
That pissed
police
me off.
speculated it was just a robbery,
Yeah.
and it probably was just a robbery, but it
Did
just
they steal
seemed-
anything other than the cell phones?
They didn't say. It drove me crazy because I read like 3 articles, and then after that, there's like just a whole bunch of like smaller websites
All
to talk about
regurgitating
it.
all the
Yeah.
same stuff. Yeah. Which is probably what I really like about Murderpedia, because like
They keep
don't-
all of it in track. Yeah.
they're not going to keep posting the same story.
But I always
They-
find the weirdest murders, and then I can't find them on Murderpedia articles. Or if the
Yeah.
Murderpedia article is really long, I'll be like, I don't want to go over this
I don't want to go through all of this. All right.
Great
Well,
researcher guy.
thanks so much for that story. I actually really,
problem.
as you gave me like no info, but I'm so.
You don't
I'm-
need info to know that
no.
the media was trash about
The media
it.
was trash, and those 2 boys are fuck those boys. God. All right, guys. Well, that was a really great episode. Thanks so much for listening. Make sure you leave us a review on any of the podcast platforms that you're listening to us on. You can catch us on most things, on most social media, rather. People Keep Dying. You can send us an email at peoplekeepdying@gmail.com and give us a story.
And try
or-
not to die by next week for our next
Yes.
episode.
We hope you're still around next week.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye.